What is up, guys? It is Zico with another video, and today I'm here on Unity. But today is not going to be a devlog video. Which, by the way, I apologize for not posting in a while, and I apologize for not posting about my top-down shooter in a while. I actually recorded a bunch of new footage for my top-down shooter a couple months ago. You know, when around the time I stopped, but then something happened to the files and they all got corrupted and they weren't usable anymore. I don't know what happened, but you know, I just kind of stopped after that. Just kept on working on the game, which actually the game is pretty much finished. There's a few things I could add to it, but it was really just a side project for me to learn about 2D games and you know, learn more about that stuff, and you know, just to make the top-down shooter in general. But today is going to be a tutorial video. And today I'm going to be teaching you guys how to basically use different screen boxes or frames inside of a game. Let's see a side scroller, which is the game I have open right now. This is a new game that I'm working on. I was going to make a devlog video, but then I could probably start now because I'm not that far in. But I kind of forgot to make, you know, videos about the first couple of steps that I've been doing. But it's alright. But I'm basically use different screen boxes or frames inside of a game. So like when you hit the edge, let's say in the screen view here, let's say the player walks over, right, and he hits the edge, basically it transitions, or like, you know, snaps into like a new area. You know, that kind of, it's kind of like a Metroidvania, but if you've seen any of just any pretty much side scroller in general, like with a pinstripe, you know, you get to the edge of an area, and you know, you get to another one, that type of thing. So basically I'll be teaching you how to do that with a thing in Unity called Cinemachine. And we'll be using Cinemachine 2D to first of all follow the player. I'll be teaching you guys how to set up that first, but then also I'll teach you how to transition into a different area if that's the type of game you're trying to make. Yeah, this is a new game that I'm working on, though. It's called The Dark Realm. Tell me, guys, down in the comments below if you guys would like me to start a devlog on it, because honestly I would love to, but you know, that's you know, I'll leave that up to you guys. But yeah, so let's go ahead and get started. So for me, I already have Cinemachine installed. It's right here, but if you guys don't know how to install it, all you need to do is just go up here to Window, at the top, whether you're on Mac or Windows, same thing. Just go to Window, and then go to Package Manager, and then right here you want to hit All, and you want to scroll down to Cinemachine, and just go ahead and install the latest version. See, mine is already installed, and it's up to date. Once you have that installed, it should install pretty quickly. You just want to basically go ahead, go up here. There should be a new thing up here. It's called Cinemachine. And if you're working on a 2D game, just go down here and hit Create 2D Camera. Basically, what that'll do, that'll create a little virtual camera, sorry, in your hierarchy. But then it'll also add a little thing on your main camera here called the Cinemachine brain. You know, I don't really know how to explain that, but that's what it's called. So yeah, but you'll do all your controls and you know, all your editing of the camera on the virtual camera. And after you add this, you'll see, oh, whoops, that you can see that you can't actually move your camera anymore, and you can't do it on the you can't do it on the virtual camera. But yeah, so that basically you'll do all your editing stuff of your camera on here now. I mean, you obviously, if you want to change the size and all that, you'll still do that there. But yeah, so to get the if you don't already have a camera file script going, then so basically you'll just go ahead. So right here, once you open up this on the virtual camera, just go down to where it says follow, then your player, just drag your little player inside of that thing right here, and it'll snap to him, and then you can adjust how it looks. So if you go down here to screen X and screen Y, down here in the body area, you can just adjust this. So if you do this, I'm gonna drag it to where I like it. And then, so we'll drag this so it's not showing any of that empty space. So that's right about where I have it currently. As you can see, it's right there. When you have this selected, it'll show this little red box. That's just the camera view. You have this camera distance. It doesn't really do anything in 2D space, but it's there. And then you have something called look ahead. We'll look at that later. And then so you have dead zones, basically. So the space, if you here the guides. So dead zones are basically the space in which your character can move without the camera moving with it. For my side scroller, I like to leave them at 0 just so it's very responsive. But if you guys can see, like, just for let's see if I put this at like 0.3, it opens up a little space there. But then if I put on the Y or the height 0.3 as well, you see it opens up that little space. Let me put this a little bit higher just to show. Let me put this at 0.5 as well, just to show you guys. So if I go right here, you see I can move in this space without here, let me turn it off, maximize on play so we can still see the guides. You can see I'm moving inside of this space, but as soon as I enter this blue area, the camera starts moving with the character. But for my side scroller, I like to leave that at 0 just so it's really responsive. I also need to center that, but that's all right. But yeah, so now as you can see, so now it follows the character, right? But you can, if you keep on going this way, you can, it kind of, you can still see that little area of where this is, this empty space. So if you want to this is sort of required also for the area transition as well. But so basically down here where it says extensions on the virtual camera, just go ahead and hit this and then hit Cinemachine Confiner. You see it's looking for a 2D thing. Right here I have my little forest, my entire little thing here. And then that's my ground collider and all that. But basically just create a go ahead and create an empty object. Put it wherever you need it to be, and then just go ahead and call it something. I'll just call it camera box, but you can call it whatever you want. And then so basically on that camera box, you want to go ahead and add something called a Polygon Collider 2D. And then once you have that, you basically just want to go ahead and hit Edit Collider. You'll see you get all these little points here. And you want to drag these points. Once you grab it, you'll see they extrude. And you just want to grab them and put them all around your area here. So they completely surround it in a box form. Oops. And then if you want to remove one of the points you created, just go ahead and do Control Z. Put that there. Okay. Pull this here. Doesn't take too much time, but make sure you have it how you like it. For me, that should be pretty good for tutorial purposes. Sorry if the explaining on this is a little jittery and not so good. This is kind of my first tutorial, so just bear with me here. But yeah, now that we have that set up, basically you just want to go back to your virtual camera, and then you want to drag that object with the Polygon Collider on it and drag it into this little slot right here. And now if you enter the game. Whoops, right. Something I forgot. As you saw, it pushed my character out, as my character has a collider on it. You just so it doesn't do that to your character if your character has a collider on it. just go ahead and mark is trigger on your Polygon Collider, so it does not do that. So now, if we hit play, it should go to the bounds. The camera should stop at the bounds of where your Polygon Collider is set to. Now, something I do want to do real quick. Let me just disable that real quick so I can center my character, because that's bothering me a little bit. But yeah, so let me go ahead and grab that. Boom. Then let me take off this screen. X, right, 0.5. There we go. It's pretty much set, or maybe 0.4. Set around there. That should be fine. Now that. And then also, if you drag around your character, you should see that it pulls the camera with it, which is pretty helpful. So I'll have him start there. Alright. Yeah, as you can see, and if we go over here to the other side, you can see it stops right here at the bounds. Does the same thing for the top here. So now that we have that set up, now we can get to the now that we can get to the area transition. So what I like to do is just create an empty object first, and I like to call I guess each of these little areas frames, right? I'll name this frame 1, and oh, whoops, that was a mistake. We go back to there and then name this frame 1. So this is just an empty object, and I like to just pull my everything in this little area just under that single frame, just to add a little bit more organization. You don't have to add anything to the frame 1. That's just for organization purposes, but also, easier to understand. So then we basically want to have, and just so you have another area to transition to, if you only have one set up. If you're looking for it to continue, let me just go ahead and name this frame 2. I'll go ahead and pull this over. I'll probably match it up right along there, just so it kind of aligns, so the excuse me, so the character can just walk right along it. And sometimes the character may, like start fall off, because basically when we transition, for just so to save on performance, when we transition over to the second area, this first area will be deactivated. So basically, whatever area you're in will be activated, but all other areas within this one scene will be deactivated unless you're in one of those. Basically, when this is deactivated, your character may fall. So basically, if you want to just go ahead and go to your little ground collider, if you have one, and pull that over a little bit, just to make sure he doesn't fall over. Also, so we want to go ahead and create. Let's fix up my hierarchy here. I want to go ahead and create another game object, and I normally just name this something random, just edge 1, because you'll have probably multiple of these out of a scene, depending on how many frames you have within one scene. Basically, this is the edge. You want to go ahead and add a box collider 2D inside of it. So then you just want to drag it over right in between where these two meet. Then you can edit it however you want. I'm gonna make mine a lot taller, just to make sure that the character can get through it. Pull that up here. Sure, it's about there. That should be fine. Go ahead and make sure you mark it as is trigger. You go ahead. Okay. Okay. Now that we have that set up, let's just go ahead and if you don't have a scripts folder, go ahead and make one. And I actually have the script right here. Let me go ahead and delete it, so we can make it together. Basically, you just want to create a new script right here. I'll just name it something simple. It's just frame switch. Name it wherever you want. Go ahead and enter that script. Okay, guys. So now that we're inside of Visual Studio, go ahead and take out these first two start and update methods. Start with a clean slate. So first thing we want to do, basically create two public game objects. Just go ahead and go public game object. I apologize if it's a little laggy. My Visual Studio is just starting up here. And then just go ahead and name it frame 1. And then you want to create another one, public game object frame 2. Alright, so that's basically the reason they're public game objects is because you'll have one of these scripts on each of your edges in between each two things. So you'd put basically you'd put your first little frame, or like the frame you plan on deactivating, in the frame 1 slot. And then your frame 2 slot, you'd put on the one that you plan on activating, you know, so basically frame 1 comes before frame 2 is basically what I'm trying to say. So now you basically just want to go void on trigger enter 2D, which is right here. And then you just want to go ahead and create an if statement. It goes if frame 1 dot active equals true. Go ahead, add your curly brackets here. So basically, if frame 1 is active, or you know, whatever frame it is, you want to go frame 1 dot set active. And since frame 1 is already active, we want to set it to false, because basically when we hit this trigger, if frame 1 is active, basically the frame that we're inside of, or the original frame that we're inside of, it's active, then we're going over to frame 2, or the frame that's after, you know, the frame. So we want to deactivate this one, and then we want to, well, my Visual Studio does not seem to be wanting to work here. There we go. Okay, I apologize. So you basically just want to go frame 2 dot set active true. But so you want to go ahead and do an else if statement here. Basically else if frame 1 dot active equals false. Well, if frame 1 is false, then you want to do frame. Basically, this is basically saying if you're in frame 2 but want to go back into frame 1. So if frame 1 is not active, then you want to do frame 1 dot set active true, because we're trying to go back into frame 1. And then frame 2 dot set active false. That's it. It's a very short script. It's not hard to put together. So yeah, basically just reviewing it. So we're creating two public in-game objects. These are the two you know, frames that you're interacting with, because you may have multiple things, but you'll have one edge in between two frames, right? So let's say we're dealing with like a frame 5 and a frame 6. You have a big long area, right? Or multiple areas, but you know, there's 6 total within one scene. Let's say we have a frame 5 and 6. So this would be your frame 5, because it's your frame that's before, you know, the one after it, right? Let's, you know, this would be your frame 5. You'd throw frame 5 in this slot inside of Unity, and then you put frame 6 inside of frame 2 because it comes after this one. Then basically this is saying when you enter a trigger, when you enter the trigger of the collider of the 2D, this code will run. Basically, if frame 1, or in our, you know, let's say frame 5 whatever your first frame is, if it is active, then you want to set it to false, because this is basically saying, if it's active, then you're trying to get to the other one. So, it's setting to false, and then it's setting the one after it to true. But if frame 1, or whatever frame you're dealing with, is if it's not active, then you want to set that to true, because you're trying to get back to it, and then it's setting the one after it to false. Sorry if that explanation was sucky. Again, my first tutorial, but doing the best I can here. Bear with me, please. So let's go ahead and go back into Unity. And basically, you want to go ahead and drag this frame switch script right onto this edge one empty game object. Basically, you want to drag your frame 1 into the frame 1 slot, and then frame 2 into your frame 2 slot. Now watch how this works. So basically, you want to go ahead and deactivate your second frame, right? So have that just automatically off. So now that we play the game, right, we start moving, slides, right? You'll hit the trigger. Oh. Right. Got. So basically, another thing you want to do, I apologize, I forgot about this. You want to drag your virtual camera under onto your frame 1, right? Like your very first one. You'll have each of these, you'll have multiple of these, and you'll have each of them associated with the frame that they're with, right? Basically, this first virtual camera is associated with frame 1. So basically, when frame 1 is deactivated, this virtual camera will be deactivated. But so you want to go ahead and duplicate it, and let's just change this to virtual camera 2, and then drag this under frame 2, because this specifically will be associated with frame 2. Now you shouldn't, unless you're going to name each of these camera boxes different names inside of your frames, you shouldn't need to you shouldn't need to drag another one under here, because since it has the same name, it'll automatically switch over to it because it has the same name. Just watch how this works now. So go ahead and deactivate your frame 2, right? Basically, another thing, so since this is not active, right? This brain, if you look at it, it's automatically associated with the first one. But once the first one is deactivated, it'll automatically look for another active virtual camera. So then it'll find this one and put it in this live camera slot automatically. Now let's go ahead and play the game and see how this works. You can see Confiner is working perfectly. So now, when the player goes ahead, doesn't seem to be working again. Make sure it's in the right spot. We're looking at the camera box. It should be snapping. Right on. Let me make sure that it's deactivating correctly. So let me watch it. So once he hits a trigger, I'm going to leave this in just because for debugging purposes. So it does not seem to be switching over to a different collider, even though this one has. So maybe, for some reason, no, it is not, but it still seems to. Okay, so maybe you do need to, let me try this. Switch that over. Yeah, okay. Apologies. So yes, you do need to switch over And then I'm not gonna edit that out just because I want to show you guys the debugging process. Luckily that one only took a little bit, but yeah. So go ahead, take this camera box that's under your second frame and just go ahead and associate it with that one, just so it knows which one. And you can tell which collider. I didn't even think about this before. You can tell which collider is associated with which virtual camera by seeing, if you select this virtual camera, you'll see the yellow outline. We'll go here. You see the yellow outline is now over there. Now we know that. Let's go ahead and try this one more time. So we're walking. Hit the confiner edge. Switch over. Yeah, it does that little transition, right? But for me, you guys can keep that if you want it. But for me, I want an automatic just snap, right? I want it to snap right over. So basically how you do that, go to your main camera, go to the little brain, see where it says default blend here. I'm going to go ahead and click that. You can choose any of this, but I personally like to go custom. And then this is basically a little line graph. So first, I'll set this to 0. So this is basically the duration of the blend, right? But, you know, I want mine to be ultra fast. And then I'll just go ahead and select this line here. This will be, you can mess with each one, see what each one does, see which one you like. But I personally just like this one because it just snaps right over. So, oh, whoops. Okay. We'll go ahead, hit the play button one more time. Right over here. Hit the edge. Player hits the confiner edge, but now, see, everything works as it did. Confiner still works, still stops the camera. But if we go back, right here, as you can see, it, you know, goes straight to where the first frame. And if you look at your hierarchy here, you can see this is grayed out, so obviously it's deactivated. That's mainly just to make things a lot simpler, but also save on performance, because if it was activated and you had multiple areas within one thing, within one scene, then it would because of all the artwork, it would drag down your performance. Again, if you hit the collider, that deactivates, this new one deactivates. Very quick, very simple. But also, let me show you another thing, just for those who were confused by my explanation earlier. We'll go ahead and activate this one, right? Let's go ahead and just create 2 more frames. So this would be frame 3. Let me just delete this one for now, so I don't get confused. So we'll go ahead and do the same thing. Drag this over to the edge where it meets up with the second frame. Now we'll go ahead and grab an edge. We'll go ahead, duplicate that as well with Control D, by the way. And just go ahead and name this edge 2. I like to put them in between the frames that they're used for. So this will be for frame 2 and frame 3. Go ahead and drag this one. Drag it over. See where it meets up right about there. So go ahead and drag it right there so the player can collide with it. But you see where it says that it's still set to the frame 1 and frame 2 game objects. So here, because frame 2 is before frame 3, you drag frame 2 into the frame 1 slot. And then you drag frame 3 into the frame 2 slot, if you see how that works. Now, we have that. Just to be safe, let me click on this. Yes, it did automatically associate itself with the collider, which is good. So we'll go ahead and just name this Virtual Camera 3, just to keep it going. Just for effect, we'll go ahead and create another one from 4. Drag this over as well. Make sure it meets up with it nicely. Then go ahead and go here, make sure it's associated with the right collider. Name this Virtual Camera 4. Take another edge. This will be edge 3. Put this in between these frames. It's completely up to you. I just like organization, just so I don't get confused. And again, we'll go ahead, drag this over right to where meet. And then again for the frame 1 slot, since frame 3 becomes since frame 3 comes before frame 4, we'll go ahead and drag it into the frame 1 slot. We'll take frame 4 and drag it into the frame 2 slot. Now we get to see how this works. Go ahead and deactivate all your other frames. Leave the edges active though. So we're back in our frame 1 slot here. Removing. So automatically, there we go. Frame 1. Now frame 2 is active. We're inside frame 2. So again, we hit this collider. We're now in frame 3. We go all the way down here. Hit the collider. Now we're inside of frame 4. And obviously, since you have the confiners set on these virtual cameras, when they are activated, since you know the virtual cameras and the brain are connected, so it automatically finds the confiners. So that's how that works. Now, as you can see again, and if you don't want those guides there, by the way, on the virtual cameras, just go ahead and turn off game window guides. I like to keep them there. I just click off it. But yeah, so that's really all for this video. If you guys want to know anything else, go ahead and let me know. And let me know if I did good this tutorial, because this was my first tutorial, so I have no idea if I was good at explaining it or not. But if you guys did learn something today, please go ahead and drop a like and let me know down in the comments below. And yeah, so that's it for today, guys. So thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you're new to the channel, go and hit that subscribe button. That'd be greatly appreciated. And I hope everyone's day has been going good. If it hasn't, then I hope this video helped. If it didn't, then I hope you guys can do something today that I'm gonna do good, and then you can reflect on today's a good day. So yeah, I'm Z Codes. Thanks for watching. See you next one. Peace.